Hey there, it's Wendy again from Worldwide Speak, and this video is going to go over outlining. It's geared towards those students who are just beginning their writing journey in English, but of course anybody is always welcome to watch. So this video is going to go over the outlining process and what it looks like. So you'll have a good example of what you need in your outline, as well as the steps and the process of how to do it. All right, let's learn. Okay, so what is outlining? Well, this is the part of the writing process where you actually begin to organize your ideas after you've thought of all of the ideas or brainstormed for your topic. Here's what, the brainstorming process looks like maybe visually, just a bunch of ideas that you put down. Well, the outlining is going to take those ideas and organize them so you know what you're going to write about and how you're going to write it. The purpose is to write down just a few words, one or two or three, but not sentences. You'll save that for when you write your first draft. But you want to write your ideas down in the order of the paper structure to help you remember and to organize your paper. I like to think of the outline like, a map of where you're going. When you plan a road trip, you know where you're going. You might not know exactly what the hotel room looks like inside or which gas station you're going to stop at, but you know the destinations and the stops where you're going to be. That's like outlining. You just have, the main points of your paper from the start to the finish, and it's a journey. Your paper is like a journey. It begins somewhere, and it gives information, and then it ends. Okay, how do I get the most out of this outlining process? What are some of the best practices? Well, in my opinion, I would keep your ideas short, no sentences. I just said that the last slide, but it's really important. When you're organizing your paper and putting it in an outline format, just jot down or write down a couple of words for the ideas that you have. If you start writing sentences, you might get lost in the outlining process, and then you won't have a solid structure and know where you're going in your destination. It's kind of like just getting in the car and driving, which might be fun and adventurous, but we need a purpose when we write. So we need to know where we're going and where we're going to end up. You want to make sure it's organized like the paper structure. If you're writing a compare-contrast, I'm going to talk about paragraphs here. If you're writing a compare-contrast paragraph or a descriptive paragraph or a narrative paragraph, you want to make sure that when you're writing your outline, it follows the correct structure of that actual paragraph type. And then be open to change. Just because you put something down in your outline doesn't mean that it's written in stone or that it's permanent. Something I like to do when I write is when I make my outline, sometimes I like to move things around because in some types of writing you want to save your most important examples for the end of the paragraph. So maybe I was outlining and I put it in the beginning. I might want to just move it around and put it at the end. And it's important to be flexible when you write. It's not so fixed that it can't be changed. It actually makes you a better writer because you're able to keep your structure but be flexible maybe with your reasons and your examples so you know exactly where you're starting your paragraph and where you're ending your paragraph, or if you're writing an essay, where you're starting and where you're ending. So just remember, your outline is there to help you organize your thoughts, but it's not such a permanent structure that you cannot change it. Okay, my friends, now it's time to move from brainstorming to outline, and that's why we're here. I'm going to take the example I used from my brainstorming video. If you haven't seen that, then you might want to check that out after this one. And I also have a video on the descriptive paragraph. If after this outlining one, you're interested in what the paragraph actually looks like, you can watch that too. And if you're a subscriber, you'll always get our videos when they come out right away. So let's talk about this descriptive paragraph prompt. It was write a paragraph describing a favorite dish or food. Right below me, you can see that there's what we call as teachers a mind map. It's a type of brainstorming. It's actually a highly organized way to brainstorm as opposed to or different from the stickies that I showed in the picture at the beginning of the video where they're just all over the place. This already begins that organization of ideas, but it's not as organized as your outline will be. So here, the favorite dish in the center is the chicken marbella. And then the senses we want to hit are sight, taste, smell, touch, and sound. And then, for each of those things that, apply to sight or taste, etc. I had in the brainstorming video, I had crossed off sound because I thought that one didn't fit well in my paragraph. And then I also crossed off a couple other ideas that I didn't like. So I started already organizing even before my outline. So on the other side, you'll see I have the structure of a descriptive paragraph, right? I have topic sentence and then sight with a couple of examples, taste, a couple of examples, smell, example, touch, example, and a concluding sentence. One or two examples for each of those things is perfectly fine. So I know that my topic sentence is going to include chicken marbella. That's the whole purpose of my paper, is to describe this awesome dish. It is so good, I'm telling you. And I'm going to describe this so that you, the reader, can almost taste and smell it and see it after you're done reading my paragraph. Then, maybe I want to talk about sight first, and that it looks like a royal feast, and a couple of examples could be, the olives and the apricots, or the blackened skin of the chicken, or the dark capers. And then I'm going to talk about the taste. That's fresh. And why is it fresh? Because I've got juicy organic chicken, and it's also kind of salty, and which brings out the flavors. Then I'm going to talk about the smell. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to introduce the smell yet. So I just put a question mark, which is totally fine. Because when I start writing my first draft, the idea might come to me, but I know I need something there, which is so awesome about having an outline, because I know it's like a placeholder for something, right? I know I'm going to need a sentence there to introduce smell. But the example for the smell is that something is savory, or I can smell the savory and sweet. And then lastly, for touch, I want to talk about that it melts in your mouth. And I was thinking, this isn't in my brainstorm, but I was thinking, what melts in your mouth? And I'm thinking butter. What is better than butter? Oh my gosh, right? So that was my idea. I'll see if I can work that in my paper. And then lastly, your concluding sentence is really important, and because it ends your paragraph, and you really want it to have an impact on your reader. It's important to have the reader think about your paper after they've read it. That means you wrote a clear and effective paper, and that, part of what your purpose of writing is to really reach your reader. So I was thinking, okay, Wendy, how am I going to end this descriptive paragraph about this delicious chicken marbella? And I'm going to talk to the reader and kind of, tap into their emotions. And I'm going to do that by saying, when I cook this chicken, I always remember my mom in my childhood being in the kitchen and remembering her with these smells and sights and tastes. So that's something I think most people can relate to and will think about, and maybe they'll think about their favorite dish and something that their mother cooked. All right, so the outline example is here for you. It is the structure of a descriptive paragraph. You now know how many sentences you're going to write. When you're beginning to write in English, it is, I have found, very useful to, know how many sentences you're going to need within each paragraph. It helps you know where you're starting and where you're finishing. And the outline is so great because your topic sentences there, then cite, example, example, etc. And remember, we're going to think about our outline like, the map with all of the points along the route for your final destination. You have a start and you have a finish and you have all of the points in between. You don't have all of the details and all of the writing, but you definitely have a really solid foundation with which to start writing the actual paper, which will be your first draft. And the outline, I have found, is really one of the most crucial parts of the writing process because, as you know, without a strong structure, your paper falls apart. It's like building a house, on sand. There's like no foundation, and then if you use toothpicks for the walls, right, it would never stand up. You need a really solid foundation and structure for your paper. And when you have that, then the writing part becomes a lot easier. So we'll see you with our next video. Please remember to subscribe and remember, you can do this. Until next time.